In the early 5th century BC, the Persian Empire of King Xerxes, I was the greatest power the world had ever known. From the banks of the Indus River in the east to the Egyptian desert in the west, from the Iranian plateau to the coast of Anatolia, the Persian flag flew over countless lands. At Xerxes' command were treasures of manpower, gold, silver, ships, war, elephants, and hundreds of thousands of soldiers from many different peoples. But Xerxes' ambitions did not stop there. The humiliation of his father's defeat at Marathon still haunted his court. Xerxes vowed to avenge Greece and make that small land part of the great empire. Persian envoys brought messages of surrender to each Greek city-state. If they knelt, they would be spared. If they resisted, they would be crushed. The Greeks were terrified. Athens remembered the victory at Marathon, but knew that this time the enemy would come in force. The Persian army was so large that, according to historians, if they crossed a river, they would be able to drink it dry in a day. Xerxes' fleet stretched out across the vast sea, its white sails covering the horizon. Such power shook the whole of Greece. But amid the widespread fear, there were still small fires of resilience. In Sparta, people began to discuss how to face the approaching storm. One king was already preparing to face his fate, Leonidas, who would lead 300 warriors against an entire empire. In the early 5th century BC, the East was resplendent in the glory of the Persian Empire. From India to Egypt, hundreds of peoples and dozens of languages had submitted to the throne of Xerxes. But beneath the splendor lay boundless ambition. Xerxes wanted to avenge his father's defeat at Marathon and crush Greece. He ordered the assembling of an unprecedented army. Hundreds of thousands of infantry, skilled cavalry, archers, chariots, and a huge fleet. The army rolled like a black wave, heading straight west. Its only destination, the small but resilient free Greek city-states. News of the massive expedition shocked Athens. The people gathered in the agora, talking in fear. Everyone understood that, despite their victory at Marathon, they were not strong enough to withstand a million-strong Persian army. Amid the tension, a haunting question arose. Surrender to survive, or fight to preserve freedom? The Athenian leaders decided to ask Sparta, the most powerful militaristic city-state in Greece, for help. The envoys set out with one hope, that Sparta would not turn its back on the common fate. In Sparta, the Athenian envoy addressed the elders and warriors. If Athens falls, Greece will no longer be free. The hall fell silent. The Spartans were reserved, but they understood that Persia would not stop at Athens. All eyes were on Leonidas, the famous king, warrior, and symbol of the Spartan spirit. In their hearts, the decision was made. Sparta would not abandon its Greek brothers. Leonidas knew that facing 1,000,000 Persians meant certain death, but the honor of Sparta and the freedom of Greece were more important to him than life. The king chose 300 of his best warriors, all of whom had sons to carry on their lineage, to join him in the battle. It was not that Sparta lacked troops, but that religious law prevented regular troops from entering the field. The 300, along with thousands of allies from other city-states, would form an iron wall to stop Persia. The small army marched through the rugged mountains. The Greek people lined both sides of the road, watching in silence. Everyone knew this was a road of no return. Leonidas walked steadily, his eyes shining, inspiring confidence in his comrades. Beside him, 300 famous warriors, shining with iron armor, glittering with bronze shields. They were not seeking death, they were seeking immortality in the history of their nation. The army reached Thermopylae, a narrow pass between the mountains and the sea. There was only a small path, just enough for a few warriors to fight hand to hand. In the distance, billowing clouds of dust signaled the approach of the Persian army. Out at sea, the vast fleet was like a forest of masts. Xerxes sat on his field throne, looking out at the narrow pass and smiling slightly. He believed that in a few days he would crush the small force. Little did he know that the 300 Spartans would strike fear into the entire empire. The night before the battle, Leonidas gathered his men. His voice boomed. "Tonight, we are not just Spartans. We are Greece. Behind us are our freedom, our children, our homeland. Before us are the chains of Persia. So choose. Live as slaves or die as free men." The answering cry echoed through the night, tearing away all fear. On the first day, the Persian army attacked in great numbers, but in the narrow pass, thousands of men could not exert their strength. Each small group that rushed in was stopped. The Spartan shields were tightly packed into a wall of steel. Spears pierced straight, rows of archers fell. Leonidas and his 300 warriors were like an immovable wall, blocking the raging waves, their charges. But each wave left behind scores of dead. Even Xerxes' immortal elite could not break the Spartan ranks. The cry of "Sparta" echoed through the mountains. The Greeks began to believe that the gods were on their side. Pride surged, turning fear into strength. Xerxes watched from afar, furious that his army was being held back by such a small force. He ordered more troops to be sent, but the narrow gorge rendered numbers meaningless. As the days passed, the bodies of the Persians piled up and morale sapped. The mighty empire that had never known defeat now faced an unbearable humiliation. As the sun set, the battlefield was covered in blood and smoke. The Spartans retreated to camp, regrouping. Leonidas walked the length of the camp, his eyes hard but filled with emotion. He knew the next day would be even more brutal, but he also knew that he and his comrades had already carved their names into history. That night, under the starry Greek sky, 300 warriors sat together, silent, ready for the days of death to come. I am Callista, an Athenian maiden. My city was once filled with music, songs, and philosophers, teaching in the squares. But now the air was clouded by the shadow of the Persian army. When news of the invasion spread, the Athenians panicked. Some ran to tell the news, some packed their belongings, others cried out in fear. On the streets, I saw mothers clutching their children and old men trembling as they fingered their rosaries, praying to the city's guardian gods. In the council, the elders discussed tensely. Some wanted to surrender to save their lives. Others called for resistance. But then, the voice of freedom rang out loudly. People swore that Athens would never bow to tyranny. Past the Acropolis hill, looking up at the temple of Athena, the sacrificial fire was still burning, golden in the evening wind. The people knelt, praying to the goddess of wisdom to give Greece strength. I knelt too, tears falling, silently praying. Please, give us the courage not to give up. As the sun set, the people of Athens began to evacuate to the sea. The boats were packed. My family and I squeezed into a small boat. I hugged my younger brother, my heart pounding. As the boat left the dock, I looked back at the city one last time. The roofs, the towers, all receded. A heart-wrenching pain surged, but at that moment, I heard the news. Sparta had set out. King Leonidas and 300 elite warriors were marching towards Thermopylae. A hope suddenly flared in my heart. Yes, Athens may be afraid, but Sparta is not. And this Greece still has brave hearts. We Athenians pride ourselves on philosophy and the sea, but in the hour of danger, it was Sparta that made Greece proud. Leonidas, the king of Sparta, did not hesitate. He chose 300 of his strongest, most disciplined warriors to stand with him against the Persian advance. They were not strangers to death. They were husbands, fathers, sons. When they set out, we saw an unforgettable scene. The Spartan wife saw her husband off with a determined look. The old mother told her son, "Return with your shield, or stay on your shield." Not a single tear, only pride. We stood by the road as the army passed by. Their footsteps echoed rhythmically, as solid as the drums of war. The Athenians watched in silence, for everyone understood these men were walking toward death, but they walked as if they were walking toward a glorious festival. The Aegean Sea glitters, crowded with ships bearing Athenian refugees, their hopes adrift on the waves. Amidst the throng, I stand with my family, the receding coastline a stark reminder of all we leave behind. The air vibrates with sorrow, a chorus of weeping children and trembling elders, a lament for a lost home. Against the vast sea, a fragile plea echoes. Heroes, please save Greece. In a narrow mountain pass, the Spartan army advances, a wall of bronze and muscle. Sunlight turns their armor into a blinding spectacle, showcasing their martial prowess. Leonidas walks among his men, a king among warriors. Leonidas inquires about the well-being of each warrior, calling them by name. The image of Leonidas, both strong and compassionate, kindles hope among his soldiers. The Spartan army, a river of steel and resolve, cuts through the mountain pass. Their voices rise in a powerful, ancient song, a testament to their defiance. The sound reverberates off the cliffs, filling the air with their unwavering determination. Each note, each step, a bold declaration to the world. Free people are advancing. Hope surges, a defiant heartbeat in time with their resolute song, echoing in the mountain air. At Thermopylae, Leonidas and his 300 Spartans find themselves dwarfed by the imposing landscape. The hot gates rise dramatically, a narrow passage between steep cliffs and the endless sea, highlighting the Spartans' isolation. Leonidas surveys the scene, his gaze resolute as he contemplates the impending Persian horde. The sheer scale of Thermopylae emphasizes the Spartans' daunting task. At Thermopylae, the Spartans fortify their line with grim focus as the sun blazes upon their bronze shields. Each spear is sharpened with deadly precision, honed by years of relentless training. Leonidas strides with unwavering confidence, his powerful presence fortifying his warriors. His voice echoes with resolute conviction. This is where we stop the storm. This is where history will carve our names. Far from the Spartan camp, Callista closes her eyes, the darkness behind her lids filled with visions of home. The Spartan camp flickers to life in her mind's eye, firelight painting the faces of warriors gathered in a circle. They sit, their voices raised in song, a chorus of camaraderie echoing through the night. In their voices, a defiant spirit, they speak not of death, but of glory and freedom. The Thermopylae Pass awaits, a silent stage for the clash of titans. From afar, Callista watches, her heart pounding with dread and fascination. A horizon consumed by an endless wave of Persian soldiers. Banners dance in the wind, each flap a harbinger of the storm to come. The sheer magnitude of the Persian horde overwhelms the senses, a testament to their ambition. Callista's expression reflects the gravity of the moment, a storm of emotions brewing within. The Spartan phalanx stands unyielding, a bulwark of shields and spears against the encroaching storm. Leonidas stands resolute, the embodiment of warrior kings, his presence a beacon of defiance. The air crackles with anticipation as the clash of steel heralds the brutal dance of war. Amidst the deafening chaos, Leonidas's voice cuts through. No one retreats, though outnumbered. The Spartans stand firm, their resolve unwavering as they repel each relentless wave of attack. Under the cloak of night, Spartan warriors gather around a blazing fire, their faces illuminated by courage and defiance. Their voices rise in a powerful chorus, each note a testament to their unwavering spirit and valor. Aboard the boat, Callista feels an undeniable connection to the Spartans, her heart echoing their fierce courage. Callista's heart beats in rhythm with their courage. Callista knows their stand has already proven that freedom cannot be subdued.